Hey guys, subscribe for daily knife content. And if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for links to some great online retailers. There's also individual links for knives that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I want to talk about my favorite American knife companies. Companies that I will buy from without any hesitation whatsoever. Metal Complex, the knives you have laid out on the table are not made in the United States. Doesn't he know? Amateur. Yeah, I do know. Actually, I wanted to make a point here real quick. My channel largely pushes American knives, but I do review knives that come from all over because quality is quality, right? I think it was Nick that said something about, quality isn't about geography, it's about effort. Or something like that. I agree with that 100%, right? So I show knives that are not made in the United States because everybody's budget's different. Everybody thinks a little bit differently. And not everybody who watches my channel is actually from the United States, right? So I show things and give my honest opinion so that people understand what they're buying, at least, from my perspective. And I'm always going to be that way, right? When it comes to my own personal collection, the vast majority of the money that I spend is on American knives. The most expensive knives in my collection are all from the United States. I'm pretty into that. I definitely like buying high quality American knives. And we're all in a situation right now where, well, some of us are in a situation where there's some money coming in, right? So I don't want to tell anybody how to spend their money. Obviously, you guys, you spend your money however you're going to spend it. But I'd like for people to consider some American companies and especially if you live here in the United States, right? And you value home country manufacturing. These knives, American knives, not these, but the ones we're going to talk about here, they tend to be more expensive, right? But the people who have actually taken that jump and said, you know what, Metal Complex, you said to try out this company, try out this brand. I went for it. It was a lot of money, but now I've got it, and holy cow, you were right. I love hearing that, right? Not always the case, but a lot of the time it is the case, right? So I want to share my thoughts on companies that I will purchase from without hesitation. Knives we have laid out here, of course, we have the Lightning OTF, right? I mean, these are inexpensive and good. They're dependable. The CJRB Rhea, excellent knife for the money, right? CJRB Praxis, fantastic. Of course, we have the legendary QSP Penguin, right? And then we have one of my personal favorite budget knives, the Cold Steel SR1 Light. Big, heavy duty, mean, right? These are all made in, every single one of those is made in China, or actually I think Taiwan for the Lightning. Great. They're great. I have no problem with stuff like that. But I'm going to share with you guys my favorite American brands. And I'm going to link as much of this stuff right down in the description so that you guys can check this stuff out. The retailers that I have listed down below are also based in the United States. So I'm hoping you guys enjoy this. Thanks so much to my generous patrons for supporting me right now. There's a link for that down in the description. And please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Let's start off with an easy one here. Hogue. I love Hogue. In this case, of course, they have collaborated with Doug Ritter, who is an excellent and very important person in the knife community. There's a lot of golden light surrounding this exact model. This is a KnifeWorks exclusive, the Hogue Ritter RSK MK1 G2, or Mark 1, I think people want me to pronounce it that way. M390, of course, excellent cutting geometry using the Able Lock, which is very similar to the Axis Lock. It's basically the same thing, but the patent ended on the Axis Lock so they can use it, right? This is basically a superior Benchmade Griptilian for less money using superior. I mean, Benchmade's doing great with their quality control, but this is superior to the Benchmade Griptilian. It just is. I think these come in at $160. Hogue all the way around. This model in particular is my favorite that Hogue has ever done. Their quality is excellent. The materials they use and what they want for their products, excellent. Seriously, have you gone to look at Hogue's prices? Holy crap, they're great. Everything that I've ever handled from Hogue has been excellent. They're an awesome U.S. production company. And, like I said, American knives can be expensive for sure. And there's some stuff on this list that is substantially more expensive, but Hogue does a great job of keeping their prices reasonable. And I've always had a good experience with them. There's no hesitation. That's the consistency here. These companies, these manufacturers, these, brands, right? I will buy from them without thinking twice if I see a model that I like. Definitely trust Hogue. Next up, let's do another easy one for me. Protech. Talk about a company with golden light surrounding them. Throw a stone in any direction on the internet, right? use the word, attach the word Protech to the stone, and it's going to hit some type of positive information, right? I guess that was a crappy analogy for using a search engine, right? You're not going to hear bad things about Protech, and that's because the company, I haven't interacted a lot with the Hogue company, but I have interacted with Protech, and I've talked to a lot of people who have interacted with people from Protech. They're just really good people. They also, in my opinion, make the very best side-opening automatic knives in the world. These are powerful. They are mega high quality. We have, of course, my two favorites out here. We have the Protech and Strider collab SNG. This is an older one in titanium. Love that thing. Use it all the time. We have the newer Protech Rockeye and S35VN, which is, of course, a collaboration with Les George. These are excellent. But here's the crazy thing about Protech. They don't make a bad model. I haven't handled everything from Protech, but they don't make a bad model. I have a whole video dedicated. It's called What's So Great About Protech Knives. And it's just like 30 minutes of me, yeah, Protech. They're so excellent. Excellent. Prices are not bad. They generally use aluminum and 154 cm, but now we're starting to see some 20 CV, some S35VN, right? They like to hover between the $150 to $250 mark. Of course, it does go outside of that sometimes, but that's very reasonable for a very well-made American knife. If you can carry automatics where you live, yeah, Protech. Don't hesitate. You're going to get quality. You're going to get a nice knife if you go with Protech. Moving on here, let's do another. All of these are easy, right? Zero tolerance, Kai USA, right? Now, a lot of people, they think of ZT and they think ZT used to be this big overbuilt barrel. It used to be boring, right? Whatever the noises they used to make knives that were bigger. Now they make knives that are a little more refined in their appearance, right? A little more sleek. The quality is still there. That's the thing that I want everybody to know. Like I'm representing Zero Tolerance with an older discontinued model because that's all I've got right now. I've got the ZT Hinderer 0392. There's a big part of me that misses that part of ZT, but they do still make large models. The 0308 is massive. It's way bigger than this, and it's much newer, right? Their machine work, their quality overall has always been great. It's always been wonderful. They've had a couple of models where it's like, what with the price and the materials. They also have plenty of models out there that are using mega premium materials and are totally reasonable in price, right? I think people get hung up on two things. Number one, this is what ZT used to be and I missed that and bought, okay, that's fine. There's other stuff out there, right? And then, they ignore all these other really good models and they pick out one model that they don't like the price on and the materials, and they're like, this is a representative. No, just look at they've got tons and tons of really, really good models. One of my favorites right now is the ZT Emerson collab. I think it's the 0640. Oh my gosh. And all that now, like if you don't like the green carbon fiber, right, you can check out some aftermarket stuff. ZT has excellent quality, and so does Kershaw. In fact, now, Kershaw does have some knives that are not made in the United States, but this is a U.S. Kershaw. They are arguably the highest quality to cost ratio for a U.S. Knife, right? I mean, if you really want a U.S. knife, but you want to save as much money as possible, you're not going to get the same level of fit and finish as you would with a Zero Tolerance, but you are going to get really, really good quality. This Kershaw Blur, the U.S. Kershaw Blur, Speed Safe, it's assisted, right? But these are like $80 to $85. S30V and aluminum, yeah, this is a great knife. We've had this forever. This is my wife's knife, actually. Excellent. And they have a ton of models. ZT has fewer. Kershaw definitely has more U.S. models, but these are, I won't hesitate to buy from Zero Tolerance. If I see a model that I like, am I going to, I don't know, their fit and finish? No, their fit and finish is great. Their quality has always been great. I've always been happy. I've purchased tons of ZTs and Kershaws in the past, mostly ZTs, but I will continue to buy from them again. In fact, that Tiger Stripe 0308 that they've got right now is kind of calling my name. So you're going to pay more money for a Zero Tolerance, less money for a Kershaw. Definitely a company you shouldn't hesitate with. Moving on here. I'd like to actually take a break because I want to talk about a knife that I don't have. I'm going to talk about Spartan Blades, specifically the Spartan Harzy. Very expensive knife. These are, I think they start out at like 400. They do have a smaller one too. You'll have pictures up on the screen. I'm sure they're already there. Yeah, Spartan Blades, super, super cool, people. This is what happens when you mash together a Chris Reeve and a Hinderer. And I'm not talking about the design. I'm talking, I mean, it just so happens that it kind of looks like that. But I'm talking about how it feels. We're talking about mega, mega high quality, premium materials, premium fit and finish, right? There's a lot more work that goes into something like this than a standard production, right? If we're talking about, you know, a Wii knife or a Bestech knife or even an American, you know, like a zero tolerance. There's more that goes into this. You know, a lot of people, you know, look at stuff like this and they define it as mid-tech, right? There's definitions. I wouldn't get hung up too much on that. What I want to make clear is that these are incredibly recommendable. I have come very close multiple times, buying a Spartan Harsey, and I'm sure that I will end up with one in the future. I've handled it. I've showed it on the channel. They're excellent. Don't hesitate. These are wonderful, and the people at Spartan Blades, I've talked with them a lot on Instagram. Excellent, excellent, very nice, just super cool, down to earth. Really, really like them. So, moving on here, let's talk about Spyderco. So, Spyderco, you guys, I'm sure you know that I'm into Spyderco knives. You're showing 2 knives that have been modded, and one of those has a modification that's not from the United States. Okay, well, that's kind of like what I was saying. I buy the stuff that I think is high quality, right? But the knife is from the United States, and you don't have to do this to it. You can just not do it. I mean, you know, most people understand the point that I'm making here. I'm using 3 very popular, very well-made American models from Spyderco, the PM2, the Shaman, and the Para 3. These are all mine. I love these things. I EDC the crap out of this guy, and I carry this guy quite often too. Spyderco is one of those companies that, you know, sells knives from, you know, all over the place. They've got they have Chinese Spydercos, they've got Taiwan-made Spydercos, Japanese-made Spydercos. Spydercos are made in Italy, and then they have their U.S. line, which is always Golden, Colorado, USA Earth. The prices have been on the rise a little bit lately, but they still have very reasonably priced stuff. They like the $120 to $200 price point. You will largely end up with G10 and steel for the frame and some type of premium steel for the blade. Spyderco is a great company if you can get around the aesthetic, right? But if you're wanting to try some mega crazy weird steel, right? Some just wild thing you've never heard of. Steels like Rex 45, K390, Maximate, right? And a ton of other stuff. Spyderco's messing around with that stuff in a lot of different models, and there's not a lot of other companies touching it. In fact, Maximate, I think Spyderco is one of, if not the only companies that's working with Maximate right now. They are weird looking. If you've never tried out a Spyderco, they are weird looking, but rest assured, the American Spydercos are definitely high quality. Some people get a little bent out of shape. Yeah, okay, that's fine. If you're going to reduce the value of the knife to the materials, right, and you're going to ignore everything else that goes into it, like where it's made, how much time it takes to create, right, everything fitting together, the cost of machining and all that, right, it's hard. I mean, the argument in some cases is justified because their prices have been kind of on the rise lately, but would I still pay $145 for a pair of 3? You bet. Give me 10 of them. They're awesome. I love these things, and they're very accommodating to the human hand. They know how to make a knife that is supposed to be used with a hand, right? It sounds stupid, but a lot of companies that hand me some type, it's basically like, I'm like, what is this? This has the ergonomics of a pine cone. I can't use it, you know, it's frustrating sometimes. These things are definitely made to be manipulated with the human hand. And I love this Para 3, I've said it many times, extension of my hand. Same thing with the the Shaman. A little bigger, right? And the PM2, right? There's also some excellent, boy, I do say right a lot, huh? People are like, count how many times he says right. It's crazy. Did you know he says right all the time? Yeah, I do. Personal quirk. I don't even realize it when I'm saying it. They also have knives like the Manix 2, right? The Native 5, right. Now I'm gonna be paying attention to it. Yeah, Spyderco is a great company. Don't hesitate. Generally speaking, you're gonna get a good model. You're gonna get super high quality, and you're gonna pay a reasonable price for it. Moving on here, let's talk about Microtech. Yeah. Oh, Microtech. the acceptable mega tactical knives in the upper end of the knife world. So they make a lot of knives that take the appearance of a knife that you might see at a gas station, right? And that's not saying that they're, ugly, but the difference between a Microtech knife and something that you can buy at a gas station for $15 is that Microtech knives are actually made super well. They are also made to fit the human hand, like the SOCOM Elite. Oh my gosh, this is just a melter. Now, I'm showing some really expensive stuff here. I'm also showing something that's hard to get, the SOCOM Elite. And this is a manual knife. So they do make automatic OT. If you want to know which company makes the best OTFs in the world, it's Microtech, hands down. I don't want to hear about your Raven Crest Tacticals and all that. I don't want to hear about that. No. I mean, if you're happy with it, fine. But we're not going to, you want to compare that to Microtech? Seriously? No. It's anybody who tells you they're the same thing is full of crap. They're not even close. I've handled plenty of those at firearm shows. Great. Okay. If that's what you want to spend your money on, but is it a Microtech? No, not even close. It's not even close. Microtech absolutely makes the best OTFs in the world. And they are, the production OTFs, right? Because custom makers are left off this list. In this case, we have aluminum. We have, in terms of the machine work on the aluminum, sorry, there's a fuzzy in there. What is that? Is there like a little mark in there? This guy babies his knives. He doesn't even use them. 204P steel. This is a Hellhound. So this is a signature series, which means it's a hand ground blade, right? The standard combat Troodon is less expensive than this. They generally come in at like $485. This guy's $600. These guys come in about $280, $290. Microtech also has some knives that come in less. Their OTF, their Ultratech is one of the best all-around priced OTFs in existence. I think you can get those starting at about $270 for, once again, aluminum and 204P. 8.5-inch knife with a 3.6-inch blade, something like that. Oh my gosh. Yes. They're actually, some of their stuff, like people look at some of their stuff and they're like, that's overpriced. Okay, look at some of their stuff that's more reasonably priced. The LUDT and the Ultratech, the UTX-85. Oh my gosh, yes, it's so good. So good. And Microtech's, oh my gosh, their fit and finish is so laser accurate. These are high quality. If you want to go with a really expensive one, they've got it. It's just as satisfying as you think, right? If you're watching videos going, I wonder how that feels. I wonder if it's satisfying. Yeah, definitely. Microtech is a company that I will recommend, and I will purchase knives from Microtech without hesitation. I will not shy away from their $500, their $600 knives. Absolutely not. Let's talk about another brand that I don't have out on the table that I love. Let's talk about Les George, specifically the VECP Flipper, because that's the one that's largely the most available right now. There are still, oddly, some VECP non-flippers floating around. I saw one of those at USA Made Blade the other day. Just check out USA Made Blade, by the way. Yeah. Oh my gosh, definitely. These are actually some of my favorite knives in this price point. The VECP Flipper is definitely one of my favorite knives of all time. I used to own the older VECP version 3 on Phosphor Bronze. I also owned the Midtech Talos. Yeah, and Les George, again, does some cool collaborations with some other companies, but his actual production knives are excellent. They do hover around that $400, $450 price point, much like Hinderer and Chris Reeve. But don't shy away from it because they're just as high quality. I put, these, like the Spartan Harzy, put that right up in there. They are super nice. If you're going to spend that much money on a knife and you're considering a Les George, do not hesitate. If you can find it, right? They pop up periodically, but yeah, is that a good knife to spend $400, $450 on, right? I can't remember what they're priced, maybe $425. Absolutely. Absolutely. Premium materials. Very, very premium. This is one of those knives where you get it and you're like, holy crap, this is way nicer than it looked on the website. For whatever reason, the pictures, when they show them, like if you're looking at the picture right now going, I think that looks really nice. Wait till you get it. And then you'll go, oh my, what? They're really nice. Finished work on them is excellent. Love Les George knives. Moving on here. Let's talk about Medford knives real quick. The quality of Medford knives. This is actually it says Strider. This is a collaboration between Strider and Medford. It's built. The AR, the 3/4 AR, which by the way has broken in so beautifully now. that I can do the freaking reverse flick with it. A lot of people look at Medford knives and they think that they're big clunky bricks that are not, there's nothing really put into them. No, no, that is an intentional aesthetic thing. They are going for the big, muscular, overbuilt look. But as far as the tolerances, the quality, the attention to detail that goes into this stuff, Medford makes a premium product. They are very careful about the fitment of everything, the look of everything. You can see there now that we're up close. You can probably see what I'm talking about. These are premium. And like I said, this broke in beautifully. I could not do that when I first got it. It was really tight, and I think that throws people off. I got a Medford, and it was so tight I couldn't do all my fit. I'm making fun of people, but I've also been there, right? Because you want it to just feel just like how people describe on YouTube videos right off the bat. These are meant to break in. And when they break in, look at this. Still perfectly on center. This thing is glassy. Crisco on a frozen lake. Crispy, smooth. I say crispy. I shouldn't say crispy. Just smooth, buttery smooth. Wonderful. I carry and use this knife. Expensive. This is a DLT Trading exclusive in S90V. Or Medford only uses D2. They don't just use D2. They use S35VN, S90V, 3V. They use a whole bunch of premium stuff. That's old. People were mad about that like 10 years ago. Not that long. Medford makes an exceptionally high quality knife. Some of their models I'm kind of like, why? But they've got a lot of great stuff out there that the price makes perfect sense. I would throw this into a mid-tech category. The blades are hand done. There's a lot of hand fitment. There's a lot of extra work that goes into a Medford. Should you hesitate when buying a Medford knife, because they are expensive? They really like that $600 price point, sometimes a $700 price point. Should you hesitate? Is the quality actually there? Because they look like bricks. The quality is there. They make a quality product, right? Everything else aside, they do make a high quality knife, and they're an American knife company, or Greg Medford writes. Yeah, I wouldn't. This is actually my favorite Medford built knife ever, the Strider Air. So it's a mixed Strider design, right? By the way, I'd put Strider on this list if you could actually get his knives, right? And that's going to frustrate some people because there is a knife on this list that you can't really get right now, but it's because production is going to ramp up. Anyway, yeah, I do like the quality of Medford. Now, I haven't seen anything in a while that I'm super pumped about, but I do like that 3/4 AR. Let's talk about Chris Reeve. Have to put Chris Reeve on here, 100%. Chris Reeve knives have remained largely the same for so long. Only recently did they update the Sebenza 21 to the 31, which is basically the inclusion of the ceramic ball, detent and interface, right? Kind of acts like an insert. Yeah, the Sebenza, legendary. The newer ones, and I think they're going to start using S45VN. This is up in the $400 to $450 price point. US made knives, very premium, right? These are the ones that started the whole hydraulic action feeling thing because they are different than what you experience with bearings. Their best models, in my opinion, the Nkosi, and truthfully, the best knife that they make and one of the greatest folding knives in existence is the Umnumzan. Oh God, the legendary Umnumzan. And I know the people are like, we know it's great, but we can't find it. I'm sure they will keep making it. And some new ones will probably come out in S45VN, but my goodness, is it good. Don't hesitate on a Chris Reeve. I feel like if this is your first time hearing it, then yeah, let me tell you, Chris Reeve knives are great, but most of you guys have heard Chris Reeve knives are excellent. They're legendary. They've been around forever. He literally invented the frame lock. It's originally called the Reeve Integral Lock. So every frame lock in existence, right? Its creation is in part owed to Chris Reeve, right? So yeah, absolutely. Let's move on here and talk about Benchmade. I like Benchmade. I've been talking with them through email and talking with them on Instagram, and I've just had a fantastic conversation with them. But really, my opinion largely comes from the quality of their knives over time. In the past, they had some issues with fit and finish. They had some issues with, like centering and blade play and bevels, like cutting bevels being awkward or wonky on one side or another. Yeah, that seems to be pretty much eradicated in a lot of the newer stuff that I'm handling. This was the first truly perfect knife that I had ever seen from Benchmade, and I received it probably a year and a half ago. One of my viewers had that custom made for me. And then this is a brand new mini Adamas directly from Benchmade, and it just came absolutely perfect. Everything on this knife is just flawless. It's beautiful, and it's so smooth. Oh my gosh. Their prices can be a bit high for what you get sometimes, but with these newer ones, they've moved from S30V to crewware in a lot of their models. In this case, Mini Adamas, brand new model, but the original was using D2 and was really expensive. These newer ones, this is $212 for contoured and beautifully shaped G10 crewware with a tungsten colored coating. Yeah. Don't hesitate with Benchmade. If you don't like the axis lock, right, or if you're worried about Omega Springs, well, if you don't like the axis lock, you don't like the axis lock. But if you're worried about Omega Springs, don't be. You're always going to hear, little things. This company has a bajillion knives in circulation, right? So if there's a problem with an Omega Spring, you're going to read about it, right? But the vast majority, 99% of the Benchmade knives that are out there being used are functioning just fine, right? It's not like all those people are going to go on the internet going, just checking in with the internet, my Benchmade's still working, thanks guys, bye. Nobody's going to do that, right? You're only going to hear about, people going, my Omega Spring broke. Guess what? Benchmade will work with you because they have one of the best warranties in existence. They have so many good models. They got some weird stuff that I'm like, what? Sometimes their knives, I'm like, why? Why is that the price, right? But they definitely have really, really well-priced items. The Mini Crooked River, the Mini Adamas, the Benchmade Griptilian, the Mini Griptilian, the 940. There's the Bug Out, right? There's a whole bunch of them. Amazing, amazing knives. Do not hesitate, of course, with Benchmade. Let's see here. Another one that I don't have out on the table, but that I can highly recommend. Koenig knives. These, I know, people are like, dude, those are so expensive and they're so hard to find. They do drop. There was a recent drop at DLT. A whole bunch of them. I know because you guys used my links and bought them. These are expensive. They start out at $550, but let me tell you, if you're looking to maximize overall fit and finish, right, with design and function, we're talking about Shirogorov level quality here, but for much less money. 100%. There is no part of me that can say that, and I love Shirogorov knives, but there's no part of me that's going to tell you guys that a Shirogorov functions, right? Like if we're comparing directly, let's say an F95 titanium, right, an M390 versus the Koenig Arius in M390 in titanium. There's a huge difference in price, but they function exactly the same. I know that Shirogorov has a multi-roll bearing system, but for those of you who own both, right, what's the difference in action, right? There might be a little bit more of a glassy feeling on the inside of the Shirogorov, but largely these knives are functioning the same. They have the same, massively high level of machine work. They're just incredible. If you can get your hands on one, these are amazing. Absolutely. If you've got this type of money to spend on a knife, and a lot of times you'll see them coming out at the $650 price point if they've got some kind of upgrade, right? Should you spend the money on it? Are you going to be happy with the quality? Yes. Don't hesitate. Excellent. Moving on here. This is a company that doesn't have a lot of availability right now, but from what it seems like, there's going to be a lot more. I'm actually really excited to watch Andrew and John Demco explode. If those names sound familiar, it's because Andrew Demco is the gentleman who invented the triad lock on like every cold steel ever. Not all of them, but like he did invent the triad lock, and they use that on a lot of cold steels, right? He also invented the scorpion lock and the shark lock, which is what you're seeing right here. Oh my gosh, that looks cool. I'd like to buy that. Where is it? How much is it? It's super expensive and almost impossible to get right now. This is the 8020 titanium, MG 8020 titanium, right? There's a version of this in G10 that's $425. Right now, he's pumping out as much as he possibly can. As soon as they arrive at dealers, they're bought up in less than 5 minutes. That's just what's happening right now. I know that that's frustrating, but it looks like they're doing everything they can to get more out. And I think they've got big plans for this thing in the future. I'm really excited. And if you have the opportunity to spend money on a Demco knife, whether it's a custom 8010, custom 8015, or custom 8020, or if it's a machine ground version, which is the MG, right? Custom versions are, more expensive, right? But if you have the opportunity to buy a semi-custom or custom Andrew Demco knife, do it. These are ridiculously excellent. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I paid $625 for this, and I would have paid a lot more. Not that I'm experiencing like $800 or $900 knife quality, and that this feels like a $600 knife, right? But I would have paid more. Definitely. Innovation is the name of the game here. Oh my gosh, you're talking about fidget factor, I think almost unintentional fidget factor, right? Mixed with excellent design elements, mixed with, mega high quality premium materials. This is 20 CV. I think mine says it somewhere on the, where does it say it? Does it say it here or does it say it under the, I can't remember. I saw it in a video the other day. And I was like, oh, I forgot that's where they put it. Anyways, it's freaking 20 CV is what it is, right? They work with 3V, they work with Crewwear, they work with S45VN. Oh my gosh, these are excellent. If you have a chance to buy one, not just the 80/20, anything from Andrew Demco, definitely. Their prices are great considering what they're doing. And these are probably the most capable, between the triad lock that he's using on the 8010, the scorpion lock on the 8015, and the shark lock on the 8020. These are the most capable and durable folding knives in the world. Is it overkill? Probably. Massively overkill, right? But if that's what you're looking for, Andrew Demco. Last but not least, say it with me, everybody. You all know Rick Hinderer from Hinderer Knives. Oh my goodness. Now look, my favorite model of all time might now be the 8020. But I don't know if I'm not going to say this is like a competition for most Americanness. I mean, it's at the point, I'm at the point now where when I look at the American flag, I just think about Hinderer Knives, right? I'm not saying, like, again, it's not a competition, but oh my gosh, these are so, I mean, look at this. If you're not from the United States, look at this. Doesn't this, I mean, I'm sure you're like, yeah, it looks like it was made in the United States. Now, right now, we're in a weird time where, oddly, the XM18 3.5 inch is sold out everywhere, but there are always Hinderer knives available in some form. It may not be the XM18, but there's always a 3-inch out there. There's always an Eclipse somewhere, right? And if not, there's a Jurassic somewhere. There's an XM24 somewhere. They are always out there. It didn't used to be that way, but he pushed and blew up, right? Quality, excellent. Tri-way pivot system. You can only get it with Hinderer knives. Swap out the bearings for phosphor bronze or nylon, whatever you want. It all comes with it, right? Pick your blade shape. Pick your blade finish. Pick your anodization, right? You want shiny or not shiny? They got them both. Pick your G10 color. Go with titanium. Go with brass or copper. Put green hardware on it. It's all available. You can do whatever you want. You can I mean, it's going to be expensive. But yeah, if you want to build it, you can do it, right? DLT Trading is hands down the best place to get Hinderer knives. Why? Because they always have exclusives. They always have new models coming in, and they supply the most parts. I've never seen anywhere else on the internet that has as many of the accessories and all the parts that you want to use to build these. And you know what? If you're like, I ain't about dressing up my knife because it's a knife and it doesn't need to be pretty. That's fine. Then just buy the knife and don't buy the hardware, right? You can do whatever you want. Rick Hinderer caters to such a massive audience. He even made fatty and skinny versions of some of these knives so that people could get the blade shape and the geometry that they want, right? He works with S35VN, S45VN, 3V, 20CV, M390. Those are analogs, right? A lot of different steels. So many variations of these things. I can't begin to try to calculate all of the different combinations of knives that are out there. He's also a cool guy. He's also a great guy who does, he does do some of the knife rights fighting, right? I'm saying he pushes for laws to be changed sometimes. And that's really cool. His quality control has just gotten better over time. It's at the point now where every single Hinderer that I have handled, right, especially here recently, has just been flawless, right? How many Hinderers have I owned? Over 30. If we're talking about lack of hesitation before I buy something, it barely even has to register in my mind when I'm looking at a Hinderer model. If it's something that I like, there is no part of my subconscious in the depths, the Marianas Trench of my subconscious, there is no little red blinking light. There's nothing. It's immediate. It's like, and now it's like a natural response, right? It's like, I'm thirsty. I'll go get some water, right? I need a new knife. Hinderer! It's just immediately. That's what it is. We are talking about extreme levels of quality. They are very expensive, absolutely, but they have less expensive models, right? They've got the Slippy. You're generally going to see knives priced at about $425. Now, these guys, $600 for the titanium. This guy's got a custom titanium scale on it, so that's actually, with the XM24, it's actually an $850 knife. This guy, again, with all the custom parts I've got in it, 800, something like that. But the standard XM24, 600 bucks. These are 425. XM18 3-inch, 425. Same with the Jurassic, the Eclipse, Maximus, MP1, right? You're looking at the Slippy. Those are a little bit less. I think they're 285. It doesn't matter. Whatever you are looking for, right? Unless you just hate the general aesthetic of Hinderer knives, right? If you're looking for a knife, you're looking for an American knife, and you have that area of money to spend, it's very likely that you will find it with Hinderer. And if it isn't available now, you can bet that it'll be available down the road. Don't hesitate with Hinderer knives. As far as, you know, if I was going to pick, like, what's my favorite American knife brand or company, it's Hinderer knives, right? They've generally better availability across the board. Yeah, this is a long video, but I really wanted to do this. I want this. I know that, like, the mass majority of my audience is very aware of this, and you guys have seen all my knives a million times, right? Most of what you guys saw here today, in fact, yeah, all of it. This is all my stuff. It's all knives that I actually own. And if you want full reviews on this stuff, you can find it on my channel, right? But I wanted this to spread to people who may not know or may not be aware of all of these companies, right? Maybe they are considering spending some money buying an American-made knife, or just buying a knife, right? And the point of this video was spend your money how you want, consider an American-made knife. And if you're going to, these are the companies and brands that I like the most. There may have been some brands and companies that I left off this list, and it's largely probably due to a lack of experience with that brand or company, right? Or if they're a custom maker, right? And I want to talk about knives that are generally, you know, the availability is pretty good, or that it will be, you know, better in the future. That's the idea here. Long video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, knives that you saw in this video will largely be linked down below. Some of them are available and some of them are not, but please check out those links. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.